Welcome again. This is Dynamic Talking Points. Again, this is your brother Luke Mon the Wise. Man, this is an honor to have these men here today. These men are some of my greatest comrades, man. And they are Ypsilanti's finest. Southside is in the building today. Now, I'm not going to introduce them. What I want to do is allow them to introduce themselves because they are that great. We're going to start with brother first.
Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction, bro.
Yes, sir.
Real talk. And I don't know if we deserve all that, but the truth is one.
Right.
My name is Billy Raycole, Southside resident. Returned from incarceration about 5 years ago. Initiated an organization called Supreme Felons Incorporated, which I'm the executive director of. My partner, as you'll meet soon, is our vice president, but we do community active work. And if the opportunity presents itself, I'll make sure that I enlighten the audience into the work of Supreme Felons, with not only within Washtenaw County and the city of Ypsilanti, but even outside the perimeters of our county. So it'd be my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here under the structure of a cat that I've been known for a lot of years. And from day one, it's been a total respect from this man. And it's my pleasure to be here and serve this purpose.
Man, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Big bro.
Since you're gonna put it like that, Brian Robert Foley, he wanna put the Ray in there.
Oh, yeah, the whole hookup.
Brian Robert Foley, right? Vice President, Supreme Felons Incorporated, along with Program Coordinator, born and raised and still currently live south side of Ypsilanti. Be 65 years that I lived in the city of Ypsilanti next April. First of all, it's an honor for you to request that we come on your podcast. This where real meets real.
Indeed.
And it's an honor for me to be in presence and think that I have something viable to share, not only to your podcast, but to our community. So let's get it on.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Since y'all been tuning in, the purpose of this podcast is to showcase men that have done time in prison, but have come home and been successful. Our goal is to show everybody that it's possible to actually transition into citizenship when you come on for doing a substantial amount of time in prison. I would like to start with Billy Cole and ask you, like, how many years did you do inside?
I've done 43 years, 11 months, and 23 days.
That's a long time, brother.
It is.
That's
but
a
hey,
long time.
what's long in the eyes of God? Because clearly man didn't get me out.
Indeed.
I was locked in.
Come on.
Man said I'd be locked in.
Come on.
God said these doors open, and that's exactly what happened in my case.
So tell me something about that experience in prison, man. Just give me a story or two of probably some of your worst or some of your best stories. It don't even matter. Just give us a story.
There's a lot of stories.
Yes, sir.
And I must admit, I ain't ashamed of nothing. I came into prison naive, but my upbringing and teachings taught me that I would be a man no matter what environment I was in. So adapting to the mental, physical aspect of other men that I wasn't used to be around, I think my greatest accomplishment was just being a man in all circumstances, being able to stand 10 toes down, when I was outnumbered, being able to understand like certain cats ain't gonna separate themselves from their city.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
Being from a community that was small in numbers, but over the top in heart, you had to do a lot of things to show and prove that you was worthy. You was a worthy man to stand 10 toes down. I wouldn't care what environment you're around or what type of cat you're around.
That's right. And that's heavy because I'm a testament that I done ran into guys that knew you in there, and they would tell me about you and how you started out strong by yourself. I ran into a brother named Ace.
Oh man, that was a great mentor of mine, man.
Yeah, brother Ace.
He brought me in. He was the one that brought me. Oh man, all them cats.
I met.
Oh yeah, you met Vernon. They actually recruited me to an extent. I ended up being a part and a member of the Millennium Islamic Palace of the Rising Sun.
Okay.
and it's an organization that's the religion is designed to give all people of African descent a religious foundation in which they may enjoin the economical, their political, and their social concerns with the spiritual force necessary to rid our people of the vices that erodes moral fibers of our community, and that which tends to bring destruction to our community. So that religion identified with not only my past, but the reality of my present and future. What I mean by that, I was raised up in the church somewhat, and that belief never set well in me how I was being taught in terms of the European structure and the reality of me being a young black man entering prison at the age of 18. You feel me? So
that's heavy. So you mean that the work that you doing now out here is the same work you basically doing on the inside?
Absolutely.
So your foundation didn't start out here?
Oh, absolutely not. No. And you know what? On some real shit, I don't take credit for nothing. There's been a lot of people that helped me, mainly my parents. I had a mother and father that actually installed morals, principles, and ethics in me. At the time of not being able to understand that and receive that for what it was worth, I went off in my own line, made my own decision, caught my life, you understand, and 60 to 90 in prison, caught cases in prison, CCW, felonious assault, because at the time, I really didn't receive the true love that my father and mother was pouring on me then. I was busy trying to find myself in the streets and understand that the streets ain't got no love for you.
That's right.
You feel me?
No love.
No love for you. I mean, you got to be able to be around those and associate with those that understand steel sharpens steel.
That's right.
You know, and everybody ain't going to be able to carry that torch.
That's right.
But when you see it, you got to recognize it for what it is. And that's one of the true blessings that I think Allah, God gave me, is being around men for almost 44 years. So the structure of man ain't new to me. You know, I done rock guys to sleep. I've been rocked my damn self. You feel me? But only thing that was on my mind was success and living. And at the time, when prison was my world, that's what from day in, from sun up to sundown, that's what it was about.
Indeed. You know, that's powerful because I know being on the inside with you, when I met guys that knew you, they would actually tell me, they'd be like, man, there's only two of y'all we mentioned from Ypsilanti. I was like, who? They was like, you and Cisco.
And you know what? That's sad to say when you got so many thousands of people coming through prison. But I don't know if we even, you know, we are who we are. First and foremost, we are who we are. But yet and still, if you ain't understanding the process and the elements of manhood, then you just won't.
Indeed.
I mean, we don't tell on each other.
Indeed.
You understand? Loyalty is a virtue. You feel me? Now, how many of us actually stand 10 toes on that? You hear me? So when I run into a cat, like I run into like you and your brother Lamar, there's never been any dissension between us. When we came, we was talking truth amongst each other and trying to save people that was either affiliated with us, that we was connected to, that we could bring resolution to. Now, am I right or wrong?
You're right.
And that's how we, other than being homeboys, once we got into our prospective religion, Nation of Islam, Atlantic Islamic Palace of the Rising Sun, we got a Moorish Sign Temple America member here. You understand? It becomes a new phase. It don't become about us as individuals. Our real character come out because we're saving lives of those that really didn't know. And that's how come I believe that cats speak of me in those terms because I was sincere with it.
That's right.
Because I had to experience it on my own. I didn't want anybody, whether it be a homeboy, family member, or just a member of the organizations. You know, we done had some serious incidents, life and death situations.
Yes, sir.
And I think back and said, why would I sacrifice my life for another man I really didn't even know? Because it was my commitment, not only to man, but to the organization. And by being committed to the organization, I committed myself to Allah, God. So it wasn't man, it was God I was on.
Indeed.
And that's what I continue to do.
Indeed. I'm gonna go to the brother Brian. Same
Yes,
question.
sir. You know, I'm gonna move your mic just right here.
Don't you got one, man?
Huh?
You can use
No,
that.
no,
We
this
don't
right
use
here.
that.
We doing Omni.
Okay.
Like, he was in my face. I was looking at the screen right there. You see.
I was feeling
Yeah.
kind of personal.
That's all right.
Mike.
No, you need to share that. You know what I
All
mean?
right.
That's why they drop it like this. You know,
All right, bro.
right. But yeah, thank you.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, the penitentiary is what saved my life, and it actually gave me freedom too. You know, if we're gonna talk truth, we're gonna talk truth, right? You get what I'm saying? I was a dope fiend for 50 years. In one phase, 38 years. I didn't get free from active addiction until I turned 50 years of age. Excuse me. So, penitentiary is where I found freedom at, right? Now, when I went in, I said this to Sko a long time ago. I said, I only did 3 years in the penitentiary. But he hit me back when he said, one day incarceration is more than enough time.
That's the truth.
Come on.
Right? You know, because a lot of people like to try to, and Sko ain't never did this, you ain't never did this, we ain't never tried to give
done all this
anybody
time,
and try to give this a false illusion that the penitentiary is where you get your juice and your strength from, your street cred.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? We don't do that. But nevertheless, penitentiary freed me. So when I went in, I did the Malcolm X thing, right? Tried to read everything in the penitentiary. Damn near did, right? Family sent me books and literature and stuff like that, okay? The root cause of the word penitentiary comes from the word penitence. Penitence is to think and understand why you at, where you at, how did you get where you at, and where you're going to be tomorrow. That's penitence, what we get the word penitentiary. So I had to get in the penitentiary to free myself from my own ignorance. Not realizing I was running around in a prison for myself from a lack of knowledge of self and a historical disconnect to my roots. Sko mentioned the Moral Science Temple of Mary, which is I'm a member of, B. Foley L, right? But nevertheless, I walk with the Nation of Islam, right? I walk with the 5% nation of gods and earth. I walk with the Hebrew Israelites. You heard Sko mention Vernon X, right? I met Vernon X in USP Hazleton, and he gave me the literature on melodics.
Wow.
Truth ain't but one.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? I walk with the nation up underneath the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as they now have been received to Honorable Minister Farrakhan, right? Truth ain't but one. But it's there that I got my freedom to learn knowledge of self and stuff like that, right? And that's where I got my freedom. Seals Bay, who was the Grand Chief of the Moral Science Temple when I was at USP Hazleton. Matter of fact, when I got to USP Hazleton, it just opened up. And it was a maximum security prison, which I should not have been because of the crime I had committed, which was bank robbery, but it was violence in nature because I implied that I had a weapon. But nevertheless, they needed to fill bed space. And so when we put everybody together, it was a stabbing, man. I had never experienced that life before to see stabbings occur every single day. You understand what I'm saying? Blood everywhere. There's bloodbath going on. But nevertheless, to say when I went in the penitentiary, I was 45 years old, right? I mean, I had been doing dumb shit all my life until I got caught up, right? So when I went into the penitentiary, I went in. I was OG when I went in. I was unks when I went in. I was pops when I went
That's
in.
a difference.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's different respect.
Yeah. So I had that respect because number one, I knew how to act like I had some sense and not fuck with them young boys or mess with somebody else I had no business messing with.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I garnered respect on the natural. But nevertheless, Seals Bay called me into his cell one day. I'm in G block, he down in B block. So when I get called in B block, you know I'm out of bounds anyway.
Yeah, no.
So I got a ticket. But the juice that he had, he told the guy that he was with me and I can come in here, I could stay for a half hour. So I was in there for a half hour. He threw the towel over the window and he opened up some literature with me. And the literature that he shared with me, he actually received it from Honorable Minister Farrakhan from out of Compton, California. He gave him this. And in that cell, what he gave him enlightened me. And he shared with me the story about the Mamelukes. The Mamelukes were a Arabic military organization that had took over Cairo, Egypt. And they went into the fort there. And it was a trick. So when they brought them into the fort, they closed the door on them. They thought they was going to get honored. But they unloaded on them boys. So only one that escaped. It's called, you Google it, it's called the Leap of the Mameluke, right? It's tatted on my arm. The Leap of Mameluke, he got on his horse and he jumped over the wall and he escaped. What Seals Bay imparted to me, he said, dig this here. This literature and this teaching that I'm giving to you, you ought to take this and go back on the streets. He said, because we ain't here serving naturals. We ain't never coming home. So this truth, you're going to have to take it back out to the streets to ensure that our young brothers and sisters do not come back into this penitentiary. If you don't do these teachings and do these things right here, you're going to have to respond and answer to us. So I've been engaged in this work since the days that the penitentiary freed me from my own ignorance, and I've engaged in this work ever since. Fortunately, I was blessed when I came home. It's a story in itself that me and Skoll had hooked up, right? And we're doing this work right now up under the Supreme Felons Incorporated, so that young men and women don't have to experience that life of incarceration that you and I and Skoll spent in here. So that's my life's mission. I'm up underneath a directive. I'm under orders and I follow orders.
Praise God.
That's deep. I'm almost speechless. I don't even know where my next question is coming from.
Well, you got one. I know you.
Listen, the next question is this. I want to think about, I want to ask you, give me like one lesson you learned while in prison that you could give me as a young brother trying to survive out here in society. One lesson you learned that will help a young brother survive and thrive.
I'm going to answer it first while you're thinking of it.
Okay, come on.
Because mine going to be real short.
Yeah.
Be a brother to a brother.
Be a brother to a brother. How do you do that?
First, you get in a relationship with God. That's first. Take ownership to your own shortcomings and faults. One of the things that is not everybody can be a member of Supreme Felons Corporation. Because of those things, we don't accept anybody. The first thing is that you have to have empathy, and empathy is the only thing that can be experienced through your own lived experience. And then you have to have an understanding, and as Billy says, and I hate to keep quoting, but we up underneath this is right here, you have to have remorse. You have to have humility and humbleness. You have to have compassion for what you have done. When you begin to accept that in your own shortcomings and your weakness as well as your strength, and you gain the knowledge of self, then you become a brother. And then you have the responsibility to teach that teachings and give that love to a brother. So that's how you become a brother to a brother.
I love it.
One incident, I don't know why this is in the forefront of my mind, but I had done 4 years when I first got to prison. I've done 4 years in Ionia. That's the gladiator school to be considered. So I've done 4 years, and they transferred me on a disciplinary. Well, they transferred with me and a guy that I was cool with. It wasn't necessarily my partner, but his name was Junior. I'll leave it like that. We go to Jackson after about a year. I see he done kind of like migrated to the older cats, and I'm like still hanging with our group of young cats, right? Long story short, Junior slapped the old cat down there in Jackson. I say older cat. That cat might have been about 50 years old, but to us in our 20s and early 30s, it was like he was older cat.
Yeah.
Slapped him. He had guys behind him too. A lot of older cats, and you know, those of y'all from Highland Park, north end of Detroit, east side, I'm sure some of y'all may remember this, but Junior was a good friend of mine at a distance, even at that time. So when he went and told the guy to meet him on the back dock with his thing, that's just what the old cat did. And he had his. But the reality is that the older guy had more experience. And he gave him a fake, hit him twice in the head. Well, actually hit him 3 times because he hit him in the neck. And he was down. In the process of us trying to get him to the hospital, he bled out. He bled to death. But at that time, I was early in Jackson. Jackson at that time was the biggest wall prison in the world. 5,000 people was on the yard all day, every day. So the lesson that it taught me is that you just can't fuck with everybody. And it's always best to respect your elders than not to respect your elders. If nothing but to give them credit for having the experience of life And that brought me a long way, because when you become a product of your environment, you're either gonna play two roles. You're either gonna be the victim or the perpetrator. Now that other role is neutral, but it's not even a reality or consideration when you living that life inside of the belly of the beast. So, I mean, from day one, I couldn't be the victim.
See, these are the original G's.
I couldn't be the victim.
These the original guys right here. The brother said, be a brother to a brother and respect your elders. That's heavy. Respect your elders and be a brother to a brother. Now
you
listen.
always gave that to me.
I'm always.
Day one.
From day one.
You knew I was older than you.
Indeed.
I mean, it ain't nothing that I took in person, but that in itself brought me closer to learning who Leroy was instead of Lamar.
Indeed.
Because see, I love both of them.
Indeed.
You did? But I knew who the big brother was immediately.
Indeed.
And dig Lamar, there ain't no disrespect, man. I'm just saying. I knew who the big brother was immediately.
Indeed.
And the mutual respect, man, has been phenomenal in my part, because if it was somebody that I really wanted to holler at on some real shit, it's only a handful of people I do that, and you and your brother are one of them.
That's right.
So, you know, with that said,
That's right.
the experience that I learned was really, man, that this world ain't always about me. You can't judge a book by its cover.
Hello.
You know? And now that I'm the elder, that I'm a senior, you feel me? I'm always leery of the fact that in itself ain't even respected. So I don't play with kids, number one. And I'm a mentor.
Indeed.
I don't play with kids. I don't allow kids to play with me.
Indeed.
Simply because I know the reality of playing games with men.
Yeah, no doubt. We know
I know
that.
reality.
Yeah, we know that.
So I choose not to do that. But I also choose to have an open mind to know that anybody can teach me something. A baby can teach me something. And long as I have my feet founded in my faith, and my faith is in that one and only God, that God you cannot see or touch. You feel me? And I feel I'm gonna be all right, because I feel if every day, all through the day, I ask for God's protection and guidance against seen, unseen evil, and I believe in my faith, I'm not a religious man.
Indeed.
I'm all right, man.
You know when I knew.
I go anywhere, I'm all right.
Indeed. You know when I knew that that you was a real powerful and really a real good dude.
You know, thank you for that.
I'm not gonna mention the brother name because he's one of our comrades, but you had transferred into Adrian, and you had heard that somebody was squeezing somebody that's from our hood. And I remember hearing somebody was like, "Man, your homeboy rolled in, and I told them guys, y'all not gonna do that. That's my homeboy. That's my nephew. Y'all not doing that." Matter of fact, you know what, little bro, you going over here with the nation. I remember that.
That's what
I know you remember it too.
That's the truth.
Remember that. When I heard that happened, in my mind, I was like, yeah. I said, the big homie, the real
But see,
deal.
it's personal with family.
Yeah.
And
Big
like,
homie, the real deal.
even when you draw your lines in the sand, you feel me? You still respect manhood. You know, you can do as much as to me as I can do to you.
Indeed.
But do we really want to do this? Is it really worth us possibly hurting each other or losing our lives about something so trivial as a misunderstanding?
Indeed.
And to me, as I progress through years and decades in the penitentiary, I learned more of that. I learned more of that. This just simply that anyone can really do as much to me as I can do to them. That's how come I don't have arguments because you can only threaten me one time. I don't have that, and nor do I apply that to anybody else. So the reality of manhood, man, is what got me geeked. You feel me? I like being around men. As I said earlier in the podcast, is that steel sharpens steel. That's why we sitting here right now doing what we doing.
That's right.
You feel me?
That's right.
And praise God.
Praise Allah, man. I got a question.
Yeah.
What was the greatest influence you had? It can be in your life, while you were in prison, but just in your life that inspires you to be the man that you are today.
You know, I can't discredit my father, Jesse Foley, right? Can't discredit him. But the greatest influence on my life was his grandfather, my great-grandfather, Jesse James Foley. Jesse James Foley was bigger than life.
Jesse James.
That's his name, Jesse James. And my father being the oldest grandson, he was taken in by his grandfather. By me being the oldest grandson of the family father, of the Foley family, my parents married when they were young. I was born when they was young. Mother was really literally almost fresh out of high school. We know the rest of the story. But nevertheless, I was left with the care of my great-grandfather. Now, the teachings that my great-grandfather gave me weren't instilled into me until I gained knowledge to self, till I came back to consciousness and awareness. But I can hear my grandfather during the 60s talking. My grandfather, as Billy said, didn't play. He didn't play with nobody, right? My grandfather, the house that he built by hand still exists on 429 South Adams. He was a self-made man. He had a garden in the backyard. He raised chickens in the basement and had hogs in the garage, right in the city of Ypsilanti. But I remember my grandfather saying to me at the age of 9 years old, and he said to me, because he had a 69 Montego, Ford Montego, and the transmission went out on it. And he said to me, he said, boy, can you fix that transmission? Now, I'm 9 years old, right? But I've been around my grandfather long enough to know that there was something behind what he was saying. My response to him was that, yes, if I had a book. He immediately came back crazy. He said, the white man who made the transmission didn't have no damn book. Learn how to think on your own.
That's it.
And that was my grandfather's mentality. And my grandfather, back in those days, this is all you heard him say, them damn Peckerwoods, them Peckerwoods. He hated J. Edgar Hoover. He hated anybody. That's where he was, because my grandfather had ran from the South. He had actually escaped what would be called the Ku Klux Klan from Arkansas, bringing his 4 daughters here to Ypsilanti to build his own life. And I was raised from them as an early age. So I witnessed those things of independence, self-determination, autonomy, taking care of family, right? Now, I went a different way, you get what I mean? Because during the 60s and 70s, we had the drugs start entering into our community like never before. We had a different thing that was coming on, right? Superfly, the Mag Shaft, all that old kind of stuff. And like most of our kids, I wanted, young men at the time, I wanted friends. Yeah. So I wanted to be a pimp and I wanted to be a player. So I got off course where my grandfather had set me to be. But when I came back to consciousness and awareness, September 5th, 2010, I can mark that date in my calendar. All of his teachings came alive into me after the fact. It was through him. Yes, I am a member of Moore Science Temple of America, up underneath the teachings of the Honorable Noble Drew Ali, as well as Marcus Garvey, right, on nationalism. That's what I'm foundated in building our own, having our own. But my grandfather also, what I found out later on, that he was following the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where everybody else in the family was what we would identify as Christianity. So those teachings came back into me, but he had instilled in me at an early life to stand on your own, love your own, help your own, support your own, be dependent upon your own, right? And give back. But also he let me know straight up and down that you're going to engage in a world that's not going to like you just because of the color of your skin. And what you have to do is stand on your square, because if you don't stand on your square and if you waver and don't stand in your strength as a black man created in the image of God, then they're going to run all over you.
Come on.
So those teachings that he gave me and that Seals gave me, I had received when I left the penitentiary. Understand that when I said be a brother to a brother, that was given to me from the minister of the Nation of Islam, who I walked with.
Yes, sir.
I walked with Seals Bay. People didn't understand that how I was able to have access to these people. I didn't ask access to them. They asked access to me and had me walk with him.
So it was already something instilled in you.
It was already instilled with me. When Sko came home, Sko came and got me and said, "This is what you're gonna do." I wasn't asked to join the Supreme Felons Incorporated, I was
Indeed.
directed to.
Indeed.
Appreciate it.
That's real conversation.
Come on.
So I'm just
Come
giving it
on.
to you real, right? And I said earlier, see, I'm mature enough and wise enough to know how to accept orders. See, before you can give orders, you got to be able to receive orders and carry them out before you're going to start telling these brothers on the street what they need to do and what they did do, this, that, and third. Because as he said, you can get hurt out in these streets trying to help somebody if you don't have the empathy and awareness of your situation. There's two things you got to know at all times: where you at and what time it is. If you lose track of anyone at any time like that, you can have your life taken.
Yes, sir.
So my grandfather, he's still teaching me right now. I can still hear his voice, right? Vicarious teachings right now from the other side of the curtain, right? He had the most impact on me. I didn't realize it. I was just there to observe it, and now they regurgitate me out of me as I do this work as the program director and vice president of Supreme Felons Incorporated, to ensure, as what you're doing in the organization you're affiliated with and what SCO doing, that we keep our young men out of that belly of the beast.
That's right.
But most importantly, so they are not hunting each other down in these streets and wreaking havoc on friends, family, and community. But most importantly, bringing harm to themselves.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Same question. Greatest influence.
my greatest influence is definitely my father. My dad, Joe T. Cole, migrated from Blythe, Little Rock, Arkansas. Him and my mom.
Now, I didn't even know you from Little Rock, Arkansas. You know my grandfather came from?
Well,
Little Rock, Arkansas.
wow, you see it. We just
We
talked this out.
didn't know this. Yeah.
But I'm the 7th of 8 siblings, so I'm next to my baby brother. I'm almost 4 years older than him. But nevertheless, that experience alone taught me to be the protector I am. But in reality, my dad taught me how to be a man even as a boy.
That's it.
I mean, just being around him, he was, he controlled his household. You did. He was a construction worker, worked himself up, and was president of Labor Local 959, UAW, for 25 years. So he had me on the line with him. And you know what? And I was thinking about what Brian said. I've never heard my father try to teach us discrimination. I didn't heard him say, white motherfucker, but teaching us discrimination, like I think society is doing more so of now. They have to. We have to teach our young black men and young black women, yeah, y'all black. And this is how you're going to be treated.
That's right.
Whether you want to be, whether you associate with whatever. This is the reality. But I've never witnessed my mother or father teach racism in our household. But I experienced it in school because I started school out there in at Lincoln Consolidated Schools, where at times I was the only young black boy in the class. That in itself taught me to be competitive. I had to outdo them. I had to beat them in spelling bees. I had to study extra hard. But also I had a sister that was 2 years older than me that actually was a tomboy that taught me fight. She whooped my ass till I was like in 9th grade. And I was winning every fight in school. But I couldn't handle them sharp knuckles or martial code. Nevertheless, if you listen and you hear me, you know the first day I whooped you over that TV. But nevertheless, I ain't had to do it since. But I think back, they said, well, Bill, I learned how to fight from my sister. And when you get around men, you would notice a lot of men really don't know how to fight. Now you see me now, I'm like 190. I come out at 220. But the reality is I've always been a small, structured guy. But not in heart and mind and soul.
Ain't no doubt.
And I don't judge a man by his ball. I judge him by his thinking ability.
That's right.
You feel me?
That's right.
And what he actually possesses in his heart and his spirit. Because, just an example, you can't be around me if I hear you calling your mama bitches and hoes.
Come on. Come on.
You done showed me a character that I can't even possibly accept.
That's right.
You cannot be around me if you're talking about young girls and little kids.
That's right.
Of that nature. you cannot be around me,
That's right.
nor can you be around this organization, which we call Supreme Felons Incorporated.
That's right.
That's a fact. And the reality is that you can't change him. You can't change a person. You can pray for him. You can forgive him. But it's in God's hands. And I'm not God.
Indeed.
So I'm gonna cut it short regardless. But the most influential person in my life was definitely my parents, and my dad stick out because my dad taught, we done manly shit. I didn't have to wash no dishes, do no sewing, no cooking, none of that. But I carried out the trash. I mowed shit. I done all the physical shit.
That's right.
You feel me?
That's right.
He taught us to not only be a man, but also to do manly duties.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Now, to some extent, that's kind of bad because, I don't really know how to iron no clothes. I ain't no real good cooker. Or none of that. So I got to have a woman next to me, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
But that man influence is something I feel is carry me till the day I die.
That's what most of the kids are missing today. Yeah. It's beautiful just to hear that because you got your grandfather and you got your father and your parents as the greatest influence in you guys' lives at a younger age.
So when we became conscious.
Exactly.
Because we made choices, but then they even have no dealing with
Indeed.
it.
So once you became conscious, you fell back on what they had taught you. Like, Pops taught me this. Mom's taught me this.
You got it, Leroy.
Boom. So when you came into the science is refined what your parents already taught you.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And that's the same thing happened to me. I didn't listen for a long time. I wouldn't listen to what my mother and father said for a long time. I remember one time I was in prison and I was looking for help to get out. So I had called the mosque. I was trying to reach out to brothers and none of them reached back.
That's right.
And I was so angry about it. My mother came to me in a vision. She said, she called me Leroyette. She said, Leroyette, she said, stand up. And I said, Mom, I am standing up. She said, no, baby, you ain't standing up. Stand up. Now, as growing up, my grandmother tried to take me and Lamar to church. My mother cussed her out. My mother said, no, I don't want you to do that. So my mother sat me and Lamar down and said, listen, I don't really believe in God, but if you want something to believe in yourself. Okay. My mother taught me and Lamar that as kids. If you want something to believe in yourself. She said, money don't grow on trees. If you want some money, you got to go out there and get it.
Right.
And she said, if you do good in life, good will come to you. You do bad, bad will come to you.
Wow.
So it was like a time in my life in prison, I had forgot to believe in myself. I was looking for people outside of me to help me. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So once I had that vision from her, I was like, whoa, I know what it is. Wow. This is what I got to do. And that's powerful. Just to hear from y'all saying that y'all parents were the greatest influence. Yeah. But it took you some time to really fall back on what they had been teaching you.
Yeah. I can fall back on you. Man, I see visions of you. Yeah. I see visions of you on your mentality, how hardcore you was. Really didn't want to be around too many people.
Ain't no doubt.
You did.
Ain't no doubt.
Stayed grimmed up.
Lamar
was a little opposite to you. He stayed a little smiled up. You feel me? Yeah, he was like twin, but then like Ike and Mike or Tom and I don't know. But it's an honor, it's a pleasure, man. I really am proud of you.
I'm proud. Yo, I got one more question, man, if we can, man. I know I kept y'all a long time now.
No, you good, man. No, we're here. One more question with you on Sunday.
Mr. Billy Cole, what was it that inspired you to come up with just the name Supreme Felons? Because I'm gonna tell you something. That was ballsy. Supreme Felons. Incorporated. When I was inside and I seen y'all thinkers, one of our homeboys, Al Jackson, remember Big Al?
Yeah.
Al showed me the pictures of y'all with the yellow shirt, with the shirt and orange shirts on. With Supreme Felons. They call themselves Supreme Felons? I was like, what the? Supreme Felons. So then when I get home and everybody is against y'all, like, really, bro? Everybody is against y'all. I'm trying to join y'all. They like, no. You need to stay away from anything that got felon in it.
But who was those that was against us? Right?
Indeed. But I want to know what was in your mind to make you even come up with that name, Supreme Felons, man? Like,
well, truthfully, I did come up with it, even amongst a few individuals that helped come up with this organization. Supreme I thought about the Nation of Islam.
Mm.
All jokes aside, that's where I got the Supreme at. And not only that, I actually went in and saw the definition of Supreme.
Indeed.
Number 2, felons. I always wanted to be transparent about where I came from and who I was, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, of course, I went to prison right after I turned 18 years old. I've done almost 44 years. But I'm not proud of that. But yet I want the community in which I serve and those who look to Supreme Felons for any kind of assistance to know that there's no hidden agenda with me or this organization.
That's right.
There's no hidden agenda.
That's right.
We're transparent.
That's right.
We are who we are. We've done what we've done. And it's not that we're championing the fact of where we come from and who we were, but we understand that through our lived experiences more so that we can bring attention and success to the path of our youth and those in our community through our lived experiences. So when I come up to a cat, whether he be a youth, whether he be elder, whether he be a middle-aged guy, my initiative is to find out what he feels his successes should be.
That's right.
And respect that. Because with me personally, I didn't know what I was going to do when I got out of prison.
Mm.
I mean, I came out, I was fortunate to have a woman on my team that was willing to support me at a certain stage. But I sacrificed 8 months to Washtenaw County Community, Washtenaw Sheriff's Office.
Mm-hmm.
I drove cars on Michigan Ave. I was at Forensic Plant. I done time there. I mean, I was in the process of trying to find myself, but in finding myself by the will of God, it exposed me to the ills of our community specifically. How we've been denied particular accesses to resources that's prevalent in the western side of the county. And when I'm talking about eastern and west, I'm talking about western would be Ann Arbor, the eastern side of the county would be Ypsilanti, even though we got numerous other cities within our county.
Indeed.
And the attention that we apply to our organization is for those that need us the most. So being blessed with the funds that Supreme Felons was blessed with, we're only stewards of those funds.
That's right.
The funds is for the community.
That's right.
That's why we do our co-drives. We serve our seniors free. We out here doing the neighborhood watch team throughout the communities. You know, it takes money for gas.
Yeah.
And time is money.
Yeah.
But we don't ask when the old lady stopped and said that she got ice in her driveway and she keeps slipping getting in her car. We go get our shovels, call a crew and come out there and clean that ice up.
That's right.
That's what we do.
It's real work.
We don't complain when the old woman in the Greens call and said, look, can y'all do anything about this music? I get no peace, no. Our affiliation through our sauce, and you part of our sauce,
Indeed. Indeed.
that we feel that there's no household that we cannot go into respectfully
That's right.
and get a response to what we're trying to get, resolution. We ain't got no guns.
That's right.
Don't misunderstand that though. But we ain't got no weapons,
That's right.
and all we got is our heart and our compassion and empathy to do the work that we do, man. It ain't about the dollar. It never was about the dollar. We were doing this
Come on.
prior to getting
Come on.
any funds.
That's right.
We were out delivering food. We was out checking on our seniors. We were out dealing and mentoring our youth. You feel me? Everything is brought forth from the point of my transformation. Is first, my transformation started with the true knowledge of God. God put an incident in my life, which was the murder of my nephew, Sean Cameron, in 2007, that began my personal transformation, meaning paying more attention to myself and the possibilities of freedom than being locked down in a world that I thought was a world, and that was in the belly of the beast in the Michigan Department of Corrections.
That's right.
Because that was my world. And I didn't have any concern about this what is the reality is the world. So everything is by design, man. And it starts with one's true belief in a higher power, no matter what it would be. You can't rely on yourself for everything. There's somebody that's in your line, that's in your path, that you're going to need assistance from.
That's right.
So I praise God for being God. I feel this is not no accident. This was already designed by God to be.
Indeed.
And I'm hoping that through this little presentation and your podcast, bro, that the community truly understands that Supreme Felons is just like they are.
Come on.
You know, we have the same ills. We just want to correct some of them through the resources that's allowed in our county.
Indeed. What I would like from y'all right now is just tell the people some of the things y'all do in the community, and reach out, tell them about any resources that they can access through the Supreme Felons and anything like that. Just the floor is yours.
Well, our number, yeah, thank you. Well, number one, our umbrella is community violence intervention.
Okay.
That's what we're up on. That's our umbrella. We have 4 pillars up underneath. We have a mentor youth program, which is currently up underneath the direction of Kings and Queens, led by Jeanette Haddon. That's currently where we're at right now. And then we have a senior mentor program, okay? Then we have a returning citizens re-entry program. And who's heading that up and doing that work is Larry X. Warren, affectionately known as Sweets.
Indeed.
Right? And then finally we have our neighborhood watch. I kind of call it every now and then neighborhood services.
Indeed.
Because you heard Billy just mention about going out and shoveling the snow for our seniors. Right now we had a lady donated us shovels and rakes and everything like that. So those are the things, those are our umbrella core groups, right? So up underneath those things, we respond to violent situations and potential violent situations. And it's through our sauce. What our sauce is our relationships as being products of Washtenaw County, in particular the south side of Ypsilanti. Any person that we encounter and has proven to be true, and I'm going to say 99% of the time, that we're no further than 2 degrees of separation away from any client that we met. If we don't know you directly or heard of you, we know you.
That's right.
We know your cousin. We know your brother. We went to school with your grandmama. Oh, I know them, right? And what that allows us to do is, number one, is to get in a personal, up-close relationship, whoever service we provide them to. Billy gonna tell you about more of the services and on that, right? But we offer, we help people get transportation, be it bus tokens. We house people who returning citizens for 5 days to get them off and get stable just for 5 days, so they ain't out in the cold for 5 days, so they can get to where they're getting at, right? We do those things. We do a lot of things. Sometimes it's really hard for me to recall everything that what we do, because some of the things that we do is second nature.
Indeed.
And we don't even write them down.
Indeed.
But we were awarded $1.2 million stewardship over that money, right? There's not a 1 penny that's out of place.
Say it.
I want you to understand that.
Say it.
And I joke about it because this is my partner. I'm his right hand man. He too cheap. But it ain't. That's our joke. That's my internal joke. Indeed. Between him and my office. Indeed. Man, would you buy some coffee, please? Can we get some cups up in here? But it's a joke between us. Yeah. The point is, he's a responsible steward over the people's money, not our money.
That's right.
Supreme Felons Corporation has never been up underneath any type of investigation whatsoever, ever. You mentioned the attackers. I'm gonna get back on track.
Yeah.
That the negativity.
Yeah.
That was all rooted in racism, rooted in jealousy, and rooted in envy. Trust me, believe me, it just wasn't white folks that was attacking us. It was black folks who joined forces with white folks
to attack us,
to tear us down. We were called into the public schools We go into the public schools by invitation of the superintendent,
Right.
permission of the superintendent and principals. Long before.
Imagine that. Supreme Felons.
Yes, Supreme Felons.
Yeah, inviting us.
Invited. We was
that.
invited. We have never went into
imagine.
one school without being invited and without personally giving permission. Well, let me just get that out of there and get back to where we at, right?
Come on.
According to United States economists, first of all, a human life, you can't place no value on no human life. You can't. But according to leading U.S. economists, a human life is worth $10 million.
Mm.
That's based upon how much money they can produce as an employee, how much they provide to the United States. Google it. A human life is worth $10 million.
Something I heard that.
That's correct.
Mm.
We awarded $1.2 million. I can't tell you, because it's an improper word to say, how many lives we have saved.
Come on.
But I can tell you how many homicides we prevented.
Come on. Ain't nobody doing that.
Ain't nobody doing it. Ain't nobody going out in the dark.
No, ain't nobody doing that.
Ain't nobody going up to these young fellas and in between these people who we know is armed.
Come on, ain't nobody.
We know they armed.
Yeah.
We do this. Our team does that. I named a few names, but I particularly didn't name any members of our neighborhood watch team. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not putting their names out there in the public.
That's
because
right.
they're doing dangerous acts on a daily basis at night when everybody else is asleep.
Mm.
For our presence just to come in to a place, the respect that he created, the respect I created, the respect that our team has on name alone, make a cat put that thing down.
That's right.
My bad, OG.
That's right.
My bad. And we not coming in there tough. Like he said, we not armed. We not coming here hollering and screaming. We coming in through empathy and love.
That's right. With the sauce.
With the sauce.
You ready to know somebody?
Love.
I know your cousin.
Yeah, right.
You
You
know
know
your
your
cousin's nephew.
Ain't you? Yeah.
feel
Ain't
me?
you what you call it? I had a dude. Let me get out here and give it to you.
Yeah.
I had a guy come in here. Was it Thursday? Came there, but I had a meeting, but nevertheless, it's a female who I met, and that 1 degree of separation I just mentioned, who I knew who the daughter was. Son, he came in there. He had the hood up and everything, and he was sitting all up in here, grimmed up. I talked to his mama for a while. I let him talk. You know what I got understanding with him?
Why's that?
He'll be at Monday night at our basketball program coming up there at Tree Lake.
That's right.
That's one of the.
And she said, do I got to be there? I said, no. You either can stay at home or sit in the car. We got this from here. But this guy was tough. The reason why I say he was tough, he just got kicked out of Detroit public school for fighting a family member. But when we brought him up in the office and gave him that love, see, kids will. Billy said it. I hate to keep using his name, but he said it. We don't play with kids.
That's right.
And when kids realize they can play with you,
Yeah.
you have lost your upper
It's over.
hand.
You're right.
Playing with their parents.
Playing with their parents.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
No,
So he realized I wasn't in it for no game. So the services that we provide, I'm going to sum it up because it's just too many. I mean, seriously, I don't want to forget them. But the services that we offer the most is what you can't learn in school. And that's through lived experience, and that's the power of love.
And I really want people that watch this podcast to understand that the work that Supreme Felons do, it's a dangerous work. It's a much needed work, and it's only being done by the Supreme Felons, man.
I hate to sound like that, but we are the only people that's doing it.
Exactly. That's the most powerful thing about it, man. Is that this group, Supreme Felons Incorporated, is the only group that's actually doing that work in those neighborhoods the way y'all do it.
You know, man, it is such a pleasure to hear you say that because you are a Supreme Felon.
Indeed.
Correct.
Because as soon as I run into one of your nephews or one of your cousins or one of your cousins' kids, guess who I'm coming to? I'm coming to you.
Indeed.
Look, man, we need to talk to your niece or your nephew in a space so we can bring some type of resolution to what they're doing out here in these streets. So then I put the ball back in your part. You feel me?
Indeed.
And as a parent or as an adult, that's our job to guide our youth. But if you ain't got the respect of your youth, you ain't listening to no guidance. See, you was 14 and 15 once upon a time too.
Ain't no doubt.
You understand what we went through?
That's right.
You understand the thoughts that you had.
That's right.
So that's what we rely on. Even though there's a different day. This is a different day than it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's a different day. We're still the same people. We're humans.
That's right.
And that's what we attempt to bring a connection with.
This is the last question of the day. What advice, man, would you give? It's two-part. What advice would you give a young guy in the streets? And what advice would you give a person that's returning citizen that did 30, 40 years in prison? What advice would you give to them that would help them to come out here and actually thrive? Not just survive, but thrive like us.
I would personally, with the guy that's coming back in, I would hope that he think about sustainability. He has to think about sustainability, because if you put yourself in an atmosphere that's not sustainable to you and you fail at it, the only alternative you got is to fall back on what you used to doing or feel comfortable doing, maybe taking something from somebody, maybe getting high, maybe drinking. But see, if you think about sustainability, you're going to put yourself in a space that's going to be sustainable to you.
Right.
So I'm going to hunt down a job. You feel me? I'm going to get something that I feel. I'm going to go to truck driving school. I'm going to get something I can get free, whatever I can get, and make it sustainable to me. But sustainability for those of us that's coming out, with or without anything materialistic or not. I ain't had shit. I ain't own nothing. 5 years ago, I was on my knuckles. I had a few of those that reached out and said, here, Bill, here's clothes. My man bought me a little vehicle. You know what I mean? But it wasn't me. But the fact is, I constantly had a thought of sustainability. I'm getting myself in position. I'm driving cars. Okay, that ain't gonna last. I go in the factory. Oh, I can't handle this atmosphere. I volunteered at 8 months with the sheriff's office. I can do this work. Now, this seems to be a calling, because now I can help people that I really like, that I really love. I'm helping my community. And that's the ballpark I stay in when it get down. I ain't had no rough day out here. I ain't had no miserable day. I don't allow it to come like that, because I know where I come from. That's where that stuff's, those thoughts help us be sustainable. Is using those negative thoughts that you had to make them positive towards your sustainability mission.
So basically you're saying that learning how to be sustainable will help you to thrive.
Absolutely. And you know where that starts with? Self.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Be humble. And it's hard to be humble when you have different factions and different mindsets and different so-called gangs, because you really don't have no gangs here in Ypsilanti and in Michigan. What you got is fractions of organizations that one time a cat be on this gang, and then the next thing you know, he's on, right? And that's hard to do, is to be humble when you have to keep your chest out and peer to give strength and have no fear. Because if a person smells fear on you, they'll take advantage of you. And like I said, I can't stand the bully taking advantage of nobody soft and weak, right? But nevertheless, we got to get humble, right? Humble is not a negative concept or a soft term. You ever heard of that food they sell in the stores or go on the sandwiches called hummus?
I think I heard it.
Humus, Humus. So you see them a lot of time in the Middle Eastern restaurants. It's made out of, I believe, chickpeas, and it's a little paste, right? That's called hummus. Hummus comes from the earth, which we get the root term to the English translation is earth. From that word earth, we get humus, which comes to humble, humility, right? Humanity. So when we say humble, be humble, that means come down to earth.
Come on. Teach.
That's what humble is. Being flat-footed, 10 tones down, be able to look somebody in their eye. That's humble, because you know what? I said it earlier. You know where you at, and you know what time it is. If you can live like that with humble, see, humble ain't got nothing to do with all this. You just know where you at all times. So my thing is understanding who I'm talking to and where they come from. You mentioned from the brother who just come out prison, right? It's hard to have some unrealistic expectations when you've been away for a long time and the only outlet that you have to society is through that television set. And those flashing lights can get you off your square and go seek an illusion and find yourself back up in there. So we get caught up in this society of grandiose, of wants and needs and abundance. We think we gotta have everything. But when you down to earth and understand that you and God are one, then you got it all made right there. Then the world is yours. You can build from there. You have to build your foundation on solid ground, not on shaky ground. You build it from there. Sko said it. So I can say a lot of things. Me and him talk. You understand what I'm saying? Me and him talk. I talked to him, he talked to me. I remember when he came home and those things that he said. One thing he didn't do, he didn't go try reaching for the brass ring without the horse. He got the horse. And then now you see where we at today. I know. I'm not, it's his story to tell, not my story to tell. Other people have asked me to tell him his story. And what I said, you got to talk to him, right? I know what I'm talking about when I seen Billy Cole come home from prison. Right? I met him because me and one of his brothers was very close friends. And we met at the Black Festival. We didn't know each other. We as we begin to learn, we have, and that's a story for a whole nother day. It's an amazing story when you hear it. But when we met each other, we looked at each other and we did like this, and you can hear the click, and we've been locked in ever since.
True story.
That's powerful. So what I get is sustainability and humility. That is the advice. Y'all heard it here, man. This is Supreme Felons, man. Billy Cole, Brian Foley. And I thank y'all, man. And listen, I'm here. Whenever y'all need me, I'm here with Lady Salam. I see Salam and Islam to the Moors. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your
This is Dynamic Talking Points. And we're going to be back with y'all again. Y'all got to come back, man.
Whenever, baby. South Side.
I love y'all, man. South Side.
All right, we got to watch the lights now.
SGs. They don't know about that. The South Side gangsters.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
That was great.
All right, y'all.
Yeah, I did that.
Well, I'm glad you was here to be the first witness.